Alright, Unit 20, Day 2. Today we're going to talk about simplifying radicals. Now, the thing is, like I said on Day 1, basically what we're shooting for is to not have decimal answers. Now, if you try to simplify, number 1, the way that we were quote-unquote simplifying stuff yesterday and just plugging them into the calculator, okay, you would notice that you wind up with this big, long, irrational decimal. So what we do instead, okay, is we're going to find a way to give an answer that doesn't have a decimal in it. Alright, so on number 1, what we're looking for matches. We're looking for pairs of numbers. So if you remember back to junior high days, y'all used to do these things called factor trees. Okay? So what we do is we break apart the 12 into 2 and 6. Alright, and then the 6 breaks apart into 2 and 3. Alright, now we circle our matches, underline our singles. Okay? Couples go out, singles stay home. Alright? The singles stay in the house, couples go out. That's simple. Alright? Same thing for number 2. We split apart the 20 into 2 and 10, 2 and 5. Circle your couple, underline your single. Okay? Couples go out, singles stay home. Alright? Now number 3, okay? We're going to break 75 apart into 3 and 25. And then 25 breaks apart into 5 and 5. There's our couple. So that can go out front. Okay, and our single is 3. Alright. And there's the first 3, knocked down just that fast. Alright. Now, number 4 presents an interesting situation. Okay. 12 is our couple. Okay. Oh no, there's nothing left to factor. Okay. Well, the answer is 12. Okay. Whenever there's nothing left to couple, okay, and there are no singles left at all, then you just write down whatever it is. In this case, it's 12. Alright? Now, number 5. Okay? We break 300 apart into 3 and 100. We can break 100 into 10 and 10. Alright? There's a couple. There's a single. So that means that we can do 10 root 3. And there we have it. Alright? 6. Very similar, okay? We're going to go square root, or we're going to break apart the 125 into 5 and 25. 25 breaks apart into 5 and 5. There's a couple, there's a single. Couples go out, singles stay home. Alright, and if y'all are wondering how to check these, alright, it's very simple. All you got to do is plug square root of 125 into your calculator. You'll wind up with 11 and some change. Plug 5 square root of 5 into your calculator and see what you get. If you wind up with 11 and some change, then you did it right. If you get something else, you need to go back and work on it a little bit. Alright? Number 7. Okay? We've got a number out front. Now, something that I always like to do is go ahead and write that number or whatever's out front down here at the bottom with a little multiplication sign after it. You'll see why in just a second. Alright, now the 200, I can break that apart into 2 and 100. I can break the 10 apart, or the 100 apart into 10 and 10. So that's going to give me a 10 there. And I'm going to be left with a 2. And now y'all see why I wrote the multiplication sign there. I put my pairs down there next to that number until, I have it all factored out. Okay? So the 2 goes inside of the box like that. And what that actually winds up being is 30 square root 2. And there we have it. Alright, we can do the exact same thing for number 8. So we're going to go ahead and write down our 7 down here at the bottom. And we can break 108 into 2 and 54. Break 54 apart into 2 and 27. Break 27 apart into 3 and 9. And break the 9 apart into 3 and 3. Circle our couples. Underline our singles. So that's going to be 7, 2, 3 on the root of 3. Alright, so 7 times 2 is 14. 14 times 3 is 42. And then the square root of 3. And there's the answer. That's all there is to this, okay? It's all about finding those couples and putting them out front, and then finding the single ones and leaving them inside, okay? Alright, number 9. Okay, I'm going to need a little bit of room for this one. Alright, so 6. We know that's going to be there. And we got 168, and that's going to break apart into 2 and 84. Break apart 84, that should be 2 and 42. 42, that's 2 and 21. And then 3 and 7. So I have a pair there, and that's it. So I've got 2. Okay, and then I've got 2, 3, and 7 left inside. Okay, so whenever I do that, that's going to be 6 times 2, which is 12. And then 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 7 is 42. Alright, number 10. Okay, now, easy way is just 400 breaks apart into 20 by 20. Okay, and then that's a couple. So that's 2 times 20, which equals 40. That's the fast way. There's a bunch of different ways to break down 40, but regardless of how you do it, you'll wind up pulling out 20 in some way, shape, or form. Most of y'all will wind up doing 2 times 2 times 5 or 2 times 10. Okay, so now we're moving on to variables. And how are we supposed to deal with these variables? Well, same way that we deal with our numbers. So on this one, what we're going to do is we're going to break apart the x squared, and that's just x times x. Hey, that's a pair. So we've got x is the answer. Alright. Number 12, we break apart y to the 6th, and that's y to the 3rd, and y to the 3rd. Okay, y to the 3rd times y to the 3rd, if you remember correctly, when we have the same base, and we're multiplying them, we can add the exponents. 3 plus 3 is 6, so that is an okay thing to do. So we wind up with y to the 3rd. And there's the answer. Alright, now, let's see. 13, we break apart the a to the 4th into a squared and a squared. B to the 8th breaks apart into b to the 8th, b to the 8th. So, that's a pair. Oh, that should be b to the 4th on each of those. My fault. I misspoke. B to the 4th. B to the 4th. That doesn't really look good. I'm sorry. B to the 4th. There we go. So that winds up being a squared, b to the 4th as your final answer. Alright, now 9 breaks apart into 3 and 3. Okay, that's a pair. X to the 20th breaks apart into x to the 10th, x to the 10th. See if I can make that look more like a 10. There we go. Okay, so that winds up being 3x to the 10th. Alright, now, number 15. Very simple problem. Okay, x to the 14th. So now we have Now we have something that we can get our root out of real easy. So that's x to the 7th, x to the 7th. So there we go. So now we have x to the 7th on the root of x. And there it is. Alright, now we can do the exact same thing for number 16. We go y on the root of y to the 4th. Break the y to the 4th apart into y squared and y squared. So that's y squared on the root of y. And there's that. Alright, now, number 17. Okay, we can break the 12 apart and go, let's go with 4 and 3. We break apart the 4 into 2 and 2. There's that. So we got 6 times 2. Then we got this x and the 3 left over, so those are just going to stay inside. So we got 12 square root of 3x. Alright. Number 18. Alright, we need to break apart this 44 first. That's going to be 4 and 11. That breaks apart into 2 and 2. So there's that. So that's going to be 3 times 2. Then we need to break apart our b to the 5th. So that's b and b to the 4th, which is b squared and b squared. So that means I need to pull out a b squared. And that's going to be on the root of, let's see, there's that. And I need that 11. So it's going to be 11b. And there's, oh, but we got to finish our outside. That's going to be 6b squared on the root of 11b. Oops. Let's see if I can write correctly today. Okay, 6b squared on the root of 11b. There we go. That's close enough. Alright, so, next thing, okay, number 19, okay, so, what do we need to do first? Well, what I like to do is go ahead and write out this little piece right here, 4x squared. I know that's going to be down there, okay, now I need to break apart 27, okay, so 27 broken apart, that's 3 and 9, and 3 and 3. There's that, and there's that. X cubed, that's x and x squared. Okay, that's x and x, so there's that. I got an x left over. So we got y to the 5th, we got y and y to the 4th. Break apart the y to the 4th, that's y squared. So that's going to be times 3 times x times y squared. Alright, so I pulled out my 3, my x, and my y. I know all those are going to be out there. Okay, and I've got a 3x and a y left inside. Okay, now 4 times 3 is 12. X squared times x is x cubed. And we just got a y squared. So that's 3xy. And there's my answer. Alright. Now, number 20. That's going to be, we know that there's going to be a 2x in there. So let's break apart the 32. That's going to be 2 and 16. And 4. So I pull out the 4. And then the x squared breaks apart into x and x. Times x. So there's that. And then I know I'm going to have the root of 2. Because that's just the single. So that's 2x squared times 4, which is going to be 8. Not 2. On the root of 2. And there's that. Alright, now number 21. This is about as big and bad as problems get right here. Okay? And you'll see why in just a second. Why I said that. So, we're going to start things off by going ahead and writing down what's outside down here. So 3x squared y. So let's go ahead and break apart the 48. So I can break that apart into 6 and 8. That's 2 and 3 and 2 and 4. So that means I'm going to have a 2, that's a 2, and that's a 2. So that means I need to pull out 2 sets of 2's. So 2 and 2. Alright, now x to the 5th, that breaks apart into x and x to the 4th. X squared, x squared. So multiply by x squared. Then we got y to the 4th, and that's y squared and y squared. So I'll pull out a y squared. Now I take the root. Okay, so those go away. That goes outside, so I'm left with an x. And then I've got a 3 left. Okay? So whenever we rewrite this the way it needs to be written, so that's 3 times 2, which is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Y times y squared is y to the 3rd. And then that's going to be 3x. And that's the end of the notes. Voila!